Says there's no sense in rushing a contract extension. Take a listen.
Odell's contract will be negotiated at the appropriate time. So to speculate on the what ifs and the what would you do and the if this happens, what will happen, I can't do that. It's not realistic, and it's not in anyone's best interest. I would like to have Odell on the Giants this coming season. He's a tremendous athlete. He's a great player. So I do hope that Odell is with the Giants for the 2018 season.
All right, Cecil, what do you think? How should the Giants handle the Odell situation?
I think that the Giants right now, as an ownership, you see with Steve Tisch, him and John Mara, they've talked, they've conversated. Both of them, they still repeated the same thing. We'd like to see him in a Giants uniform long term. He also said a contract would be done at the appropriate time. So those are things that have been consistent with the Giants. I think the Giants should sign him to a contract extension. If you're trying to keep him, you definitely should sign him to a contract extension. Now, if you change, if the organization decides to do an about face, that they're going to move on from Odell, then they should trade him as soon as possible, because I don't believe that his value is going to increase being in the Giants uniform for the next 6 months. That would get them more than they can fetch for him right now before this year's draft, when there are a couple teams with multiple picks through the first and the second round. I believe right now is the time, if the Giants had decided that they're going to move off from him. And if you're not going to move off from him, which I don't believe they will, I believe they should sign him at the end of June or beginning of July to that contract extension and get him into training camp and into the offseason workout.
All right, so the key on, if you're going to trade him, doing it before the draft is critical. Because once you trade a player after the draft for draft picks, you can believe that team's going to be bad. You can believe that's going to be, oh, we're trading him for Cleveland's future first-round pick. You don't know what number that is. Right now, the draft is set. If you're trading with Cleveland, you're not trading for something ephemeral. You're trading for the 4th overall pick, 33rd over. You know exactly where they are. As far as would I trade him, what I would not do is this. Keep him and not give him his contract. I think that is the worst possible option. I think the best possible option is signing him to a contract extension, but putting, as we've discussed, parameters in that contract that protect yourself and give him, because it seems like he needs it, even more incentive to do right. I think that it is similar. The Chiefs signed a lesser wide receiver a few years ago, Dwayne Bowe, to a contract that they had worries about him and marijuana, and or the substance abuse program. They put in there, listen, if you get suspended by the NFL due to a drug violation, it voids the guarantees in your deal. Dwayne Bowe then got arrested by the cops on the way to the police station, asked them to take him to Sonic, and he was allegedly a little bit high, and it voided the guarantees in his deal because he was suspended for it. Like, I think that is the pressure point you can press on if you're the Giants, because the other stuff, like the penalties during the game, I understand those matter. I don't think the kicking net stuff matters much. I don't think his emotion on the sideline is necessarily overly negative for the team. But if you miss games due to a drug violation, that's an enormous negative. If you're costing your team 15 yards because of stupidity in the end zone, that's a problem. It ain't great, as I would say. So I would give him his contract, but I would put in clauses in there to protect me that void the guaranteed money if he acts out of line.
I just think you're getting
Go ahead,
paid.
Jenna, tell us. You can give it to us. Go ahead.
You want
I'm
to
here
make
for you.
millions of dollars. You're in a big boy game. How many people play this game? 1,600?
1,600.
That's it.
Yes.
I mean, it is a privilege and an honor to be good enough to make it to the NFL. That means you worked your entire career for this. And you're going to mess around that you need a contract with all these, like, babysitting steps in it to make sure you're good and you stay out of trouble?
I'm sure he would rather the babysitting steps not be in there.
Yes,
I'm saying the
he
team
can't
should
stay.
put those in there
Well, this
for
is
their
the
own
thing
protection.
about the business. And the broadcast business too. We got contracts. We got all kinds of stipulations to take care of people, and they're talented just like they do in professional sports. If you're going to be in the talent business, part of your job is going to be in the babysitting business, because that's the way we do things. Talented people need a little special care and special attention. Odell is no different than some other people that we see in the NFL or in pro sports or in our business.
Right.
Jenna.
And when you say there's 1,600 players, another way to look at it is this: how many are better than him? How many guys are better than him?
Not many.
Take the quarterbacks out of it.
That's what I'm saying. He has such a gift. And I feel like
you just personally want him to take advantage of his opportunity. But Jenna, you've been covering gifted athletes.
I know.
Some of them get it.
I know.
Some of them don't
You're
get
right.
it.
You're right. And every single time you explain it,
and there's nothing wrong with you being frustrated with people not taking advantage of the great skill and talent that they have.
Yes.
You are just disappointed in them as people. Like, take advantage of your talent. Like,
that's all I'm saying.
Nothing wrong with being frustrated.
By the way, real quick, Adam Schefter just tweeted minutes ago. Pat Shermer was asked about Odell Beckham Jr. His quote was, "He's on our team right now." That is what Adam Schefter tweeted. So I'm sure this story is not going anywhere anytime soon, I would imagine.
All right, moving on. The Rams have agreed to a deal with defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh. It's reportedly a 1 year, $14 million. He will join Aaron Donald on a fearsome defensive line, and newcomers Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters in what should be a very entertaining locker room.
Just wait till they trade for Odell. That locker room will be lit.
CC, what do you think? Good fit for Sue and the Rams?
I believe in Wade. I just believe in Wade Phillips, man. I just really.
You like him?
And my experience comes from being in a crazy locker room with Jerome Brown, man, my late great friend Reggie White, that phenomenal defense we had. We had Randall Cunningham as a quarterback. We had all type of characters, all type of issues, personalities. But Wade, man, Wade's been doing this as long as anyone and has been more successful at adapting personalities and calling defenses and changing locker room dynamics that result into defenses playing better. So I believe in his ability with this culture that they have with the Rams. Man, that is the reason why I believe in the head coach. Because his first hire, man, he hired Wade Phillips. He realized, man, I only been alive. The thing I try to tell you, only been alive a minute. He realizes that. And Sean McVay, man, let me get a guy that's seen everything. That his family business is professional football. With his dad, grooming him to be an NFL, and being an NFL coach. So that part I believe in. So I believe they'll come up with a good scheme. Now, Ndamukong Suh, much respect to him, always been getting double teamed his whole career. That's what happens to great players. All right, the ultimate compliment is for me as a player to be double teamed. That means they can't stop me with one guy, and they're willing to have the numbers be not in their favor to still try to block me. Now you're getting ready to get single block. We're getting ready to see what you're about, because Aaron Donald, he must be double teamed. So I believe that he will have one of the best years that he's had in a long time there with the Rams.
Listen, that's why when he was first released by Miami, and the question was asked, where would you like to see Ndamukong Suh go? I said the Los Angeles Rams. Like, he and Aaron Donald.
You like Ndamukong Suh as a player, though.
I like him more as a player than you do. Absolutely. I think that's fair to say. I think Ndamukong Suh, while most people were critical of him in Miami because his production didn't meet the pay, I still think he's one of the best run defenders in the league. Now, some of his extracurriculars, I don't like. But what I do like about the Rams is this. The Rams are recognizing this is a very interesting window they have in 2018. Because this offseason, I would imagine, Aaron Donald's getting a massive contract.
Yes.
And next offseason, Todd Gurley is getting a massive contract. And the offseason after that, Jared Goff is getting a massive contract. The three best players on your team are all still on their rookie contracts. So go pay some guys to try to win a championship this year.
Also, because the show We're After Us, Undisputed, it's in Los Angeles. Like, man, you got to vie for those people's dollars.
Yes.
Man, the Clippers, they're not a playoff team. The Lakers, they're not a playoff team. I mean, they got some stars on the Rams. Right. Like, this is a viable ticket for people to be able to go. Football is back in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And trust me, when Ndamukong Suh, man, that don't hurt the product.
Gotta go. Great show, guys. See you again tomorrow. Back here tomorrow, 6:30.